Hello everybody. Today I wanted to talk real quick before I get started here. Probably going to be one of the last start to finish from just a garden center juniper, or any tree for that matter, or bush coming from a garden center. When at the garden center, no one's told the tree or bush yet that it's, they want it to be a bonsai, meaning it's still got every bit of growth happening just naturally. And as you guys have seen, if you haven't, go back to the Plant City bonsai trees that I collected and those kind of stuff. Those have been cleared out by someone some point in their life. So someone's already kind of told those trees like, hey, we're going to be a bonsai tree. So in the future, I'm going to start clearing all these out and have them ready. I bought like 30 of these junipers, and I'm just kind of running those through, and I want to make a few videos to show you more in depth on how to go through some of that. But I wanted to show you real quick, like on this guy, sometimes these pots, there's not a lot of roots in there, and it can fall apart pretty easy, and you can put it into a smaller pot right off the bat. You're not really hurting the roots. But if it's, it may sound weird, and if in the early spring you would want to take any of them that are root bound, that's when you would want to repot those. But this is still towards the end of the summertime, and if these roots are pretty much filled up in the pot, you want to leave that, especially with the juniper, pretty much any tree, until next spring. Early spring, you can start doing your potting then. So that's why you've seen me in the last few months in the summertime. I've kind of just done initial clearing out on the top and leaving them in these plastic pots. Some of them I'm putting into these little ones, and those are just the ones that it lets kind of lets me do it. And that's what I want to talk about today. These trees kind of, they'll tell you what can be done with them, easily, or the best, to get the looks going for these trees. And I hope you can see all these, but these three here, I'm sorry, four, are actually all of the same ones I picked up at Lowe's, the Procumbens Nana, the dwarf Japanese junipers. This little guy, roots pretty much fell, the soil fell apart as I pulled out the pot, so I was able to put it in a small pot, and it's a small tree, and I've done initial styling on it, didn't make a video. This guy I haven't touched at all. This guy I haven't touched at all. I don't know if you can make out the difference between the two, and they'll be side by side. And when you're out looking, and I bought all they had, and I'm working with all of them, but if you're out by yourself, I tend to go for the height on junipers. Like if there's an extra branch coming up and creates more height, a lot of times that'll give you good branching. But if not, I wanted to show you real quick, when you're at the garden centers, you can go in there and kind of feel around and look through and pull out a few of the branches, limbs out of your way, and try to just get an idea of what the tree already has going on before you pick it out. And then this guy is actually still bushier than this guy, and I've already cut into this guy. I've already opened this guy up some, cleared it out, but it still has actually more growth. So depending on what you find, and then this is a different juniper, but I just did a video on that guy. So each juniper already has something in its own unique style going on. These weren't grown for bonsai. That's what some of the times you'll see, or I've seen, if you go buy the cheap ones from Walmart, everybody knows the ficuses all have that same look. You can go to any Walmart in the country and the ficus has that same S pattern. Those have been pretty much from the start turned into, that's what they think a bonsai should look like, kind of thing. To where the cool thing about these, if you just go get them and they're cheap, nobody's told them which way to grow, so they're just growing wild. And then you go in, pick which branches. That tree, there's not, there's one's going to look similar, but you're not going to have anybody that has one that looks just like this. To where some of the stuff you go buy in the, the cheaper stuff will all kind of look alike. Now some of these, you want them to look like some of the higher end bonsais eventually, but they'll have their own unique little look to them, and you could put one right beside another one, and you could easily tell distinguish yours from somebody else's. To where, honestly, think a few of them, the Fukin Tea and a couple of ficuses I picked up at Walmart, you could probably put them side by side in a group of 10 or 15. I don't know if I could find my own tree out of there, just because of how they look, other than the pot I did put mine in. But so I just wanted to, I guess, get this video out there to let you guys know what's going on. And I will show you real quick what you need to do. And I guess basically this video is to show you kind of your options with junipers and what needs to happen to get it to pre-bonsai like you would go get from a bonsai nursery that, you know, still hasn't been styled but has been grown sort of for bonsai. That's what you want to start these into for the first initial styling or pruning, is get them started towards, you know, let them know they're going to be a bonsai. So let's look at that right now. So the first thing you want to do, I might have to move a few of these around, and we'll probably start with this guy since he's already got a little bit gone. This one would be a little more intensive, and it's the same process for all. This guy, wow, this is a special juniper. It's growing like an egg. What is that? That's an acorn. Where'd that come from? That's not off a juniper. Okay, so the first thing you got to do is you got to let this tree know that it's worth more than $8.95, and it's no longer going to be just a dwarf Japanese garden juniper. It's no longer a garden juniper. It's going to be a bonsai tree. So we got to get our labels off this thing, right? So we did that. Then what I can do, you can do it with your fingers, you can do it with shears, however you want to do it, is you're going to clear it out. But before you do that, to let yourself make it easier on yourself, you kind of squeeze the pot. And we're just showing you how to turn a garden juniper into a pre-bonsai juniper. That's what this video was primarily for. I know I talked a little crazy. I do that sometimes. I get to rambling on. Anybody that knows me could tell you that sit down and get a drink if you're going to hear a story from me. But this one, as you can tell, didn't take a lot. And what I always do is I'll fill up, you know, leave it in this pot, and I'll fill up this. You can see this one. I could probably get it in a smaller pot, but it's got, the roots are pretty dense, so we're just going to leave it in this pot. I will raise it up, so hang on. Okay, you could do this a couple ways. I got some needles off the shade tree out here, but you just fill up the pot with something. You could cut this ring off, but I found that when that happens, it really makes these are flimsy enough as it is, and that's good. So when you cut that rim off, it actually is not really that good. So I suggest filling the pot with something to get it raised up. It'll give you more visibility to get in there and work on in here. And this next step is you can go as far as you want to, as far as all these little, like you've seen me in videos, these little juvenile ones that are, you know, just green right to a bigger part of the trunks or the branches. Just kind of shows you that it's a small, you know, immature bush or tree. So if you cut all those out, we'll instantly give it a little bit older look. But you don't have to do that right away. What you just need to do is clear it out to where you can see which way you want it to go. If you want to cascade, like say if I wanted this to cascade, go up and then down, I would leave this and I would want to trim this back. Any branches I don't want, I want to get rid of them now. There's no need to let them keep growing if I know I want to go a certain way with this tree. And that's kind of where you want to get it headed on its future in bonsai. And of course you guys probably know by now, I don't think I've only got a couple cascades, and they just kind of happened on accident. I didn't try to turn them into cascades. So since I won't have a cascade, I will still clear out some of this internal growth, but I will probably cut back all these long shoots. You'll want to cut them back now and just get it headed that direction. Now if you have a top apex part, like say this guy, and you know, it's almost like your deciduous trees. If say I want to let this guy get bigger, I want this to eventually be the top of the apex, don't cut anything on that guy. Just wherever he comes out at, just leave that part alone if you want it to, if it needs to be bigger. And you know, you can next year, the next year, the next year, you can see how much it's grown and then change it then. But you can, you know, take the vigor out of the, if you want to keep the vigor up here, don't cut anything, let it grow. Cut this back, this part, you know, almost like you would on pretty much any tree, is all the same for that matter. You know, when you let that tip that's growing keep going, it tends to keep building up where it's going out from all the way in and down actually into the trunk. So I'm going to end it there, but I hope you guys get what I'm saying. You know, this one's sort of cleared out, but it really is as simple as just taking this inner stuff, whether you're pinching it, cutting it with these, seeing what you want to do. Every tree is going to be different at that point. You know, they're all going to have different branches, different directions, different looks already going. It'll be up to you, you know, whether it be through reading, just you know what style you have, as to which way you go. Just like it is, it's up to me, you know, which way I turn any tree headed that way. Then in the future, if I have the tree in a couple years and I remember which way I was going with it, but a lot of times I may, you know, I could change my mind. I may look at this tree in 3 years and go, you know what, I do like that cascade thing if I leave this, and so then change it to that. But like right now, looking at this one, it actually does have a cool this top part, the way it bends, I like that. I'll probably leave it alone, let it grow. I'll cut back all this stuff, and I won't show you me doing that. I've looked at some of my other videos, it's on most of them, how I go about doing that, and I'll show you this finished thing when I get done with it, and we'll talk just for a second more and then get this video over with. Alright guys, hope you liked that quick video. Now, I kind of went overboard. I did clear it out, but then I did the old stick behind the top of the trunk. Let's see if I can show you guys to prop it up, but I really didn't do a whole lot. I created a lot of little deadwood right there you see at the front. I basically just took out some branches that I didn't think I'd want. I left the cascade part in case somebody in the future, because I'll probably end up selling some of these trees. If you haven't heard yet, all my trees are for sale. Of course, the ones I want to keep are going to be able to price a lot higher in hopes that I don't even sell them, because I'm going to plan on styling them in the future. But a lot of these little guys, I definitely, you know, I don't need that many trees. So a lot of these will be for sale, and that's kind of why I left this one. You know, you got a lot to work with. This was going to be my original apex, and I left it. It's going to still grow out, and it can be brought, you know, eventually back around, maybe over in here, or you could just deal with the cascade, or you could keep it all going. It'd be up to whoever, you know, me later on, or if somebody bought this tree, for them to do something with it. But it's now, you know, I've told this tree that I want it to be a bonsai tree, so it's headed in that direction. And instead of looking like this guy here, this guy still don't know yet. I'm getting ready to tell that guy that he's going to be a bonsai tree too. Hopefully, he may not like it, but hopefully he likes it. So anyway, hope you liked that quick video. Hit that like button if you did. Stay tuned for future videos. I'm going to get in more into starting to wire these guys and bring the branches down. And basically that's all. You know, once a tree starts getting height on the trunk and growth, then you kind of start pulling the branches down like as an old tree, the weight, you know, gravity and everything would bring them down, and that's how you get to look real old. The problem with a lot of these little real young ones, they're not that high out of the pot yet, so if you start dragging everything down, you still got like a little weird looking bush. So that's kind of doing the pre-bonsai thing with these now, is to do that. But anyway, that's for another video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, help us share this channel, and like always guys, thank you very much for watching.